champions year in football. But there was also a great awareness that they were going to have their work cut out for them to retain their Ulster and All-Ireland titles. And sure enough, the champions were sent packing by Derry in the Ulster semi-final a fortnight ago. Well, that event has given the Down manager the unwanted opportunity to stand back and take an overview of the football championship from a neutral stance. Nonetheless, we're delighted to welcome Peter McGrath to the programme tonight. Peter, first of all, I suppose, commiserations on that defeat. We saw you that day on the sideline on television. You were biting fingernails, I think you were biting toenails, everything. You realised all the way through that game that you were in trouble.
I think from a very early stage in the game, it became obvious to me that Derry were very hungry, very keen, very enthusiastic. And as the game wore on, we struggled more and more to make any impression. And I suppose we weren't helped with Paul Higgins having to come off injured, and then Peter Whitnell sending off early in the second half. But having said that, Derry played with great heart, with great commitment, and on the day we could have no complaints.
Now, Derry went close last year. They've come back to win the league title. They've looked impressive in the championship, faced Donegal in the Ulster final on Sunday. How do you think that's going to go?
I fancy Derry to win, but I think it will be a very, very close, hard-fought game. Derry, I think, will go in as favourites. They have won the National League title. They have dethroned us, the All-Ireland champions. And obviously, the media will make them favourites. Donegal are an extremely experienced team. It's their fourth consecutive Ulster final. I know that they were very, very disappointed at losing last year, and I think that they will be hard to beat. But I think Derry have got the power and the pace in the right places, and possibly they may just get through.
Well, this year's Ulster winners will face the Connacht winners on that side of the All-Ireland Championship. Now it's Roscommon and Mayo on that side. You know, a repeat again of the last few pairings in Connacht. How do you fancy that one? I
feel that Roscommon might win that particular game, because if they do, they will be making their third consecutive appearance at Croke Park in an All-Ireland semi-final. And indeed, last year, they went very, very close to beating Meath. They played very, very hard, strong, aggressive and very skillful football for about 60 minutes of that game, and then Meath's tremendous spirit got them through in the last 10 minutes. Both counties, both Mayo and Roscommon, I feel, in their semi-finals played below par, because they were both pitted against teams that they were expected to beat relatively easily, and both struggled. So I still fancy Roscommon, but like the Ulster final, I don't think there will be an awful lot in it at the end of it.
Let's move over to Leinster and consider the situation there. Now it's Dublin and Kildare, as we expected all along in the final, but how do you think this one might go?
I don't think we expected maybe this to be the final. Certainly earlier in the season I predicted Meath, and they came to grief early on. But since that, Dublin became everyone's favourites. And of course, Kildare, after their very, very hasty departure from the championship last year, always were going to be very hard to beat this year. And I think Mick O'Dwyer was very, very determined that they wouldn't make the same mistakes that were made last year. Again, I feel that both teams still have serious questions to be asked about them. Kildare have progressed to the final probably easier. They beat Westmeath in their last game, a very untidy game, but they won it convincingly in the end. And they beat Wicklow surprisingly easily in the first game. Dublin, I suppose, today met their stiffest opponents to date, and being 5 points down at one stage, as Colin O'Rourke said earlier, they showed a great composure to come back and win the game convincingly in the end. But I feel that the Dublin team must realise that this is probably their best chance of winning an All-Ireland in a long time. And given their experiences of last year, their epic battles with Meath, I don't think they will slip up this year. But again, I would expect a real titanic struggle there, and with Dublin possibly coming out winners by 2 or 3 points in the end.
So if Dublin do come out then, are we to see yet another All-Ireland Championship confrontation between Dublin and Kerry, or is that being unfair to Clare?
Clare have made great progress in recent times. They won the Be All-Ireland last year, and in the quarterfinals of this year's National League, they ran Meath very, very close indeed. So they have made great progress. After having won the Munster title last year, people felt that Cork would come back very strong this year. Indeed, I was one of them who felt that. And Kerry upset the form book, beat Cork convincingly, struggled a little bit against Limerick in the semi-final, but they're back in the final again, and it's very, very hard to see beyond a Kerry victory in that game. But Clare will certainly put it up to Kerry.
So then, briefly, Peter, from your choices of the provincial winners, Where do you see the All-Ireland title going now at this stage, halfway through the season?
I feel that of the teams that are left, Dublin possibly are the best equipped. Having said that, if Kerry come through Munster as we expect that they will do, I feel that that will be again a very, very close, hard-fought game. And given Derry's National League campaign, given the fact that they won the National League, given the fact that they beat us in the Ulster semi-final, and given the fact that Derry in the right places have got a lot of power and a lot of very, very good players, I wouldn't rule Derry out either. But at this stage, looking at it from a distance, and it's always a dangerous thing to do, I would have a fancy for Dublin.
OK, Dublin, says Peter McGrath, with certain reservations. And indeed, that's about it from the programme for you this week. Now, let me just remind you about the game on Monday.